We good? All right,
We're
we're
comfortable.
rolling.
I am a little jealous.
I look comfy?
Yeah.
Oh.
Nice and cozy.
Well, don't hug me, okay?
I'm not going to.
We are live.
And we're back.
Finally.
Little break.
A little break. Did you have a good turkey day?
I did. It was nice. Ate a lot of food. Felt miserable for probably another couple days. Just kept shoving my face. It was great. How was yours?
Wonderful.
How much food did you eat?
A lot.
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I did eat a whole pie.
That's not surprising.
I got a pumpkin pie. My family always gets a pumpkin pie, and I'm the only one that eats it. So I just cut it in fours. And my wife is disgusted.
Yeah, I had some pumpkin pie, some pecan pie, some brownies. No apple pie, though. That's a shame.
Yeah. And then we have like a neighborhood turkey trot. We run in the morning on Thanksgiving, and then we eat in the afternoon. I got third. Last year I won. But they've been training all year, Tanner. I've been
waiting to get you. Yeah, well, you know.
They got me.
You got to lose every now and then.
Yeah. There was an 8-year-old that passed me like the last mile. He's like, this is my first race. And I'm like, I can't let this 8-year-old beat me. So I pushed him down and kept rowing.
On your left.
Not really, but.
Yeah, I actually would believe that.
So, some news.
Yes.
Tanner's went to tax school.
It was just so fantastic.
Yeah, that was must have been
riveting stuff.
But one of the things I wanted to talk about was this BOI reporting. Mm-hmm. Did they talk about a little bit about that?
They did. Mostly kind of understanding the portions of who should file, and who shouldn't, because it kind of centers around one of the interesting things they talked about was as far as if you're required to file a BOI, as far as for a partner or a person in the firm, like who actually needs to be filed, and are they substantially involved in the decision-making process as part of it? I think I could be wrong, but that's as part of it as ownership interest in it. Mm-hmm. So one of the examples they gave is one of the presenters has a partnership with two other individuals, like rental, and so there's only 3 technical names, I guess, on it, which is those of the partners, but all their wives are involved in a lot of the decision-making processes for those too. So part of it they brought up is, what's the requirement? Do we need to file one for them as well? Because they're involved in the process and substantially involved in the decision-making process. So that kind of gets, I think, to be maybe a gray area. Yeah. As far as the requirements. And then another thing, which I guess you filed one, it was interesting to me how all 4 of the presenters were heavily against preparing these in their practice, even though they're so simple. So sure, I guess it makes sense, whatever makes sense for the practice, to do them or not to do them. Their kind of stance was it's an additional liability that they weren't interested in being involved in, given the fact it's so simple that they can just tell them, hey, go on to the FinCEN website, fill out this little bit of information, and you're done. Yeah.
I mean, I did it with my wife, and we went to the FinCEN website. I mean, I would compare it to like getting your initial P10. Yeah. I mean, it's that simple, depending on the structure of the business. Mm-hmm. But for like hers, it's just her. So it was literally just fill out some address information, personal information, upload an ID, and then boom. So
if on there, though, are you if it was a partnership, is there a section where you fill out the other names of the partnership, or you're just filing it for yourself and the other partners are required to file it individually on their own as well?
I have to remember, but I think there was a screen where you could add partners. Okay. And then you would report those on that report.
But the other individuals would need to, I guess, file those as well. Like I think every beneficial owner has a requirement to fill this out.
Yeah, I'll just go over the requirement. Companies created in 24 have 90 days from the creation date to file this BOI, which is a beneficial ownership information report, if you don't know. And then while the deadline, the companies that are created before 24 is January 1st, which is next month, because we are in December now.
It's
wild, and it's cold here. If you can't tell on the video that me and Tanner are wearing like jackets in Florida, it's crazy. Yeah. But so if you create it before 24, The deadline is January 1st. And then if you create it in 24, you have 90 days.
Yeah, and then it looks like everything created maybe in 25, you have 30 days to turn around and file these.
You get hit with a penalty, I guess.
They give you tight deadlines. I mean, really, this was something that I hadn't even heard about before tax school. So it's like, if you're creating a company, you need to be aware of this.
Yeah, there's companies I've seen at going to all the shows. That's what they specifically do is file these reports for people.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure you can find them online, but yeah, there was a bunch of them. Some of the software companies have programs that do these as well. So people do make money off of them. I know in your tax school they're trying to shy away from them, but there's also the aspect of people are just wanting.
Yeah, I think
make some money. It's
kind of comes down
basically
to
is like, hey, let me just. I mean, you have all the data on the tax return,
right?
Right then,
I think the only additional thing you need is to upload the ID.
Correct.
Yeah. So that would be the only additional step to it. Like I said, I don't know why they were so hardcore against it, but maybe it just comes down to additional liability or additional time that just best saved and left to their customers to do on their own, being that it is so simple. But it's definitely a different area to
it's really simple
go into.
But what this report is on the Journal of Accountancy's, the AICPA organization is strongly pushing for this to be delayed because it looks like out of the 32 million that are supposed to file this report, only 6.5 million have filed so far.
Yeah, they're missing a few.
So there's going to be a lot of money being pinged to these companies, I guess.
Yeah,
and some of them just don't know.
I think that's probably a good majority of them just aren't even aware of it. Like I said, I'm just
until
now
they
being
go
made aware
file
of
their
it.
tax return and their tax professional says, "Hey, they'll be late."
But I haven't seen, if or any potential we'll call penalties will be associated with the lack of filing or delayed filing. I would assume probably since it's kind of fairly new that it won't have too many substantial penalties in this first little bit. There'll be some acceptance or grace period for the late filings of these.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I wasn't waiting around. I just told my wife, let's go ahead and get it done.
Well, being it's that simple to do, why not?
Enough on that?
Yeah, I got nothing. Got nothing more.
Some other news I saw over the weekend. I shared the what do you call them now? If it's not a tweet, then what is it? Is it an X post?
Yeah, I don't think you can call it an X.
Well, anyways, I shared I'll just call it a tweet. The tweet from Elon says DOGE is going to audit the IRS.
Yeah.
There was some other news that they came out recently about developing their own tax mobile application that would be free for taxpayers to file their tax returns on. Obviously, I think what happened from that announcement I don't know where it was announced, but the Washington Post had something written up about it. And it basically dropped into its stock.
Yeah, and
H&R Block.
I think that's probably, no stock person, but just an initial reaction to, because usually when Elon makes an announcement of something's being created, he makes it, but how much that would affect, because it's kind of like the IRS's filing system that they're developing. How much did it really take away from the actual industry? I don't know. I don't think much, given the fact that it's mostly geared for simple returns. And I can only imagine that if they get this done, it would only be, again, for simple returns. So how much does that pull away from these types of companies? But, of course, if anyone can do it, Elon can do it.
Yeah, the whole DOGE thing is quite entertaining right now. But the concept of them just, building a mobile application, what I was reading is it'd be hard for them because of how robust the tax law is.
And then just also DOGE in general, they've got
a lot going
on their plate. There's a lot listed out, so this could only be a minor blip. Especially
if the IRS already has a similar tool. already built. You're going to spend all this time to develop a mobile application when you're supposed to be government efficiency, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It seems a lot of just talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, especially with the IRS already having it in place. I mean, yeah, you could have something that the IRS does to build out, but just for, I can only think of for simple returns. I mean, more complex returns, yeah, you could probably build something to do that, but how many people are wanting to go through that if they have a real complex return just to go through their phone to try to, it'd be a nightmare.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I don't think that what is going to happen. But him auditing or, looking at the IRS as far as what they're doing over on DOGE is probably something that they will do.
Yeah.
And with all the strides that they've been making, the IRS, with all the funding they've got, it might go the other way.
Well, I mean, if them being audited, and if what is it, the CIA, the other ones that failed like 7 or 8 straight.
Oh, the Pentagon.
Pentagon, yeah.
The Pentagon failed the last like 7.
He's planning
audits.
On slashing their budget or whatever, and that, along with auditing the IRS and all the other DOGE projects or stuff they're going after. This has to be a small. It's got to be on down the line.
Yeah, on the bottom of the list.
But it is pretty interesting, like how much percentage points they dropped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
just by him announcing that.
They were saying that was pretty big hit. I haven't looked recently to see if it went back up.
Sure, it probably has.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. I think that's it for on that one. And other news, I do think that our software is, I'm going to say, going to launch.
Yeah, we'll say that.
This week.
Yeah.
So that's the time period that we're in right now. You got anything interesting you've been working on?
Well, just going through.
Because I know now the fun stuff happens for you.
A lot of fun. Going through Kansas right now. But it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of changes there, which is good. Just some, just some rates increases, some different name to a form, small little things. Still kind of getting into the meat of that, but going through states. And
you're primarily states, correct?
Yeah, states and Fed stuff.
Yeah.
So as those come, but starting to get into that busy time. We'll see early December. I'd like to get as many as I can in December. That way January's not so crazy and crippling and stressful trying to make sure everything's ready by the start date. But
yeah,
I don't think official start date has been announced, but I'm guessing it's probably going to be in the 20-somethings of January.
That's that last 2 years it's been around that same time period.
So like we're already just a month and a half out from the start.
Yeah.
Oh boy. It's exciting times.
Yeah, we're rocking and rolling. It's exciting. I know everyone's been working pretty hard all year on the software, and to finally get that thing released is probably a lift off their shoulders.
That's going to be a big release for them to get focused on some other key things that they're needed in, I guess. And that's always the big crazy push, is just getting the build ready for customer release. And it sounds like it's in a good spot for that to be happening.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, good job.
Hey, I just played a minor role. I don't deserve any of that credit.
Well, we'll give you the credit since we have the microphone.
I'll accept that on behalf of the many others.
Yeah, so launch of our software this week. Nothing going forward. We don't have any events that I know of coming up.
Webinars coming up?
Webinars. So this week we have a What's New webinar, so it's going to go over everything that we put in the software that's new. Mm-hmm. So there, you can go register for that online at crosslinktax.com. So that would be a good one. And then, once we get through this week, we're going to start rolling out more webinars after that.
It gets closer. I'm sure there'll be one for the so the What's New is more for what's new in the software.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
there'll be a tax update one.
Yeah, so we did a tax update one last week.
Okay.
And then we do another one in January.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that all shakes out. But yeah, the What's New one just goes over everything that we've put in the software over the years. So
some cool new functions.
They'll talk about Zapier.
Yeah.
Should be interesting. We'll have to, you might want to register for that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm already registered. What are you talking about?
Since you didn't have enough, tax school last week.
Oh, that was just so fun. There's a few good things that come out of it, but it's a lot of just, these presenters are actually good. They're not monotone. Mm-hmm. They try to make jokes, most of them not funny, but there's an attempt. So, there are some tax schools you go sit through a webinar where it's just straight monotone, brutalizing, beat
some
down.
of them
just monotonous.
Just brutal.
But this one was good. There's a few good things that came out of it. Nothing really shocking that I hadn't heard. There's some weird one about, I guess just a last little bit about retirement stuff that I didn't realize that for company matching purposes, I think it's out now, but like if you got an employee that just got out of college that can't contribute to their retirement account necessarily because they're paying off student loans, that the company can treat the student loans as a portion to the matching part of the retirement. So instead of having to make the 6-7% contribution to receive a certain percentage company match, your student loans somehow account for that, and they can make a matching contribution to a retirement account based off of that. That was interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
But I'm just surface level on that. I don't know anymore if that's active or not, but they talked a lot about just a bunch of different stuff, this BOI pretty heavily, and then they really went into more of estate type tax stuff, so a little over my head, but learning it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this DOGE all shakes out, and once President Donald Trump gets into office, what actually happens with it.
Yeah, what all they get accomplished, or how quickly they start getting on some of these cuts that they're talking about.
Yeah, because there was I was listening to one podcast, there was talking about them bringing all the federal workers in office. So he was they were going to require them to work in office, and that would help cut some of the costs because a lot of people are probably going to quit.
I think a lot of it was, I can't remember if it was, I think it was when he bought X, and they kind of joke about him doing the same thing, him sending out an email, what do you do?
Yeah.
So based off of that, we'll see how that shakes out. It is pretty funny, though. It's called Doge, and he was such a big pusher of the Doge coin. So
how eerie.
How they came up with
that. Yeah, there
was
one story I heard. I think it was SpaceX, or he went in for like 18 hours straight, and he had met with all the employees, and you got like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you had to just tell them what you're doing.
What you're working on, your typical day was.
You get 5 minutes, boom. Yeah. And then just went through all the employees. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how he finds the time.
I don't know how he operates.
Yeah.
But hey, that's why he's the richest man in the world, right?
Yeah. Might be something to it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, so if we got time next week, we'll sit down again.
Yes, sir.
Good?
Good.
All right, man.
All right.
Later.
Cool. Bye.